From the Oklahoman newsroom, this is an OSU update. I'm Jenny Carlson here in studio with OSU beat writer Nathan Ruiz. Nathan, the Biletnikoff semifinalist list is out, and 11 receivers on that list for the nation's top award, and Tylan Wallace is included, which we kind of expected after the season he's having. But when you look at this list and when you look at Tylan Wallace's season, how does he stack up against these guys?
He's right up near the top, Jenny. Next week they'll have a cut for 3 finalists, and you got to think he'll be in there. Ranks 3rd nationally in yards, 3rd in yards per game, 1st nationally in 100-yard games. When you look just among the semifinalists, he's right up there in the top 3 of 20-yard catches, 30-yard catches, yards per catch. The only category he's a little behind is touchdown receptions, but you'd think maybe the committee will overlook that a little bit just when you look at his production elsewhere. You look at this game he had last week in Bedlam, 10 catches, 220 yards, 2 touchdown catches, so he just continues to put up big numbers despite being a sophomore who really hasn't hit a wall yet.
Yeah, and you know, when you think about Oklahoma State and the Biletnikoff, there's no other school that's had the recent success. I mean, they've won it. They've won it a lot, and it doesn't seem like the voters. They love Oklahoma State receivers. I got to think that bodes well for Tylan Wallace. Could make some history too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's maybe the biggest concern for OSU fans when it comes to his case is that maybe he doesn't have the name recognition. But if you go down the list, there are a lot of guys on that list, that 11 name list, who maybe don't have that recognition. So, but OSU, like you mentioned, Jenny, does have that recognition. Tylan Wallace would be OSU's 4th Biletnikoff winner in the past 9 seasons. Justin Blackman won it in 2010 and 2011. James Washington obviously won it last season. So if Tylan Wallace wins it this season, OSU would become the first school to win it in back-to-back years, but with different players. So OSU has the opportunity to pick up its 4th Biletnikoff and a little history along the way.
You did a little analysis. I want to give a shout out to your blog about this. You got out the Excel spreadsheet. You started to crunch some numbers. Talk about your point system and how it all played out. Yeah,
you know, it's just kind of using a simple 7 stats. If someone's ranked first, you give them the most points. Someone's ranked last, you give them the fewest points. And I just added it up. I looked at yards per game, yards per catch, touchdowns, 20-yard catches, 30-yard catches, and 100-yard games. And Tylan Wallace is 2nd among that group. So if you add up all those stats, if you look at all those big stats that seem to really matter to these voters, you know, those are stats that the past 5 Biletnikoff winners have ranked among the top 10 in, and most of them have ranked 1st in at least 1. So those are the stats that seem to really matter to the voting committee, and Tylan Wallace is among the top 2 when you add it all up. So he's a guy who I think is right there in this competition. Obviously, a big game on Saturday against West Virginia would go a long way, but in the Big 12, a shootout can happen. He's been a guy who just continues to put up big numbers, so I think it bodes well for him going forward.
And if you're worried about name recognition from an OSU fan standpoint, according to your analysis, Texas Tech's Antoine Wesley would be the top guy. The 3rd guy behind Tylan Wallace would be a receiver from Massachusetts. A couple guys that, frankly, I have to look at their names to know. I mean, I know that Oklahoma State put Wallace out on the field in the snow yesterday, but I think people know Tylan Wallace as well as any of these receivers out there.
Yeah, he's had these huge games. You look at the Texas game in the national spotlight, what he was able to do, that huge catch before the end of that first half. So he's a guy who's had these highlight moments, who's putting on these big plays. OSU seems to do a great job of promoting him. Obviously, they have experience promoting Biletnikoff campaigns, as we've talked about. So I think he's in a great position. Obviously, he needs to continue to put up these numbers. That's going to be what matters more than anything, I'd think, but he's in a great position as OSU heads into its final 2 games.
And by the way, that Saturday game against West Virginia, it's an ABC broadcast, so people everywhere get a chance to see what Tylan Wallace can do, and he'll be on the field with another semifinalist in David Sills. A great chance to put up some big numbers. We'll see what happens. Again, 2:30 on Saturday against West Virginia. Be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.